Hey everyone, Ben here, back with another devlog for WizardChess, formerly known as the Song of the Fae. This is going to be a big episode today, I guess. We've got a lot of stuff to discuss, so let's just get into it. I'll switch over to the presentation view. That's nice, cool. And then, okay, so first things first. Whoa, we have new key art. We have very, very nice new key art. This is by Figburn, who did both the logo and the background image you see here. We've been we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes recently, and this is part of it, is just kind of getting the game's identity together and being ready for like the full release. I know we showed some art in the last devlog that I did. We're kind of pushing more towards this style now, with trying to emulate more of the in-game style in the key art. So let me know what you think about this. I think it's awesome, but I mean, I'm pretty biased because it's my baby that we're looking at here. And this comes, well, organizing key art and all the other back-end stuff has been kind of a difficult thing for me to handle, along with making the game itself. And, you know, Ricky and I don't work on the game full-time, so it's been very difficult to manage everything to up to this point. And as we come up to like version 1, we've been really worrying about like how we're going to distribute all the work. So I am pleased to announce that we have partnered with Two Left Thumbs, who are I think a micro publisher might be the right way to refer to this. Basically, Graham of Two Left Thumbs is a YouTuber and a game publisher now. He's helping people out with distribution and marketing, and what that practically means for us is that we've basically got someone joining the team to help deal with all of the stuff we don't quite have the bandwidth for up to release. So while you've probably heard me at some point be like incredibly indie and be like, oh, we don't need a publisher, I'm determined to do everything myself. Like, I was pretty convinced that we should just self-publish this, but having gotten to know Graham, I think this is actually going to be a really useful partnership, and we get along really well. He's been giving some great notes on the game and lots of feedback, so yeah, really excited to show you what we've been working on. And there's some, well, I'll tell you more at the end of the devlog, but we've kind of relaunched the game, revamped the Steam page. There's a big new update out now, and you can go and play it already. So if you'd like to do that, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, we'll walk through what's new in this presentation. So let's get into it. First up, here is the content, as always. So I'm just going to do the major points as I see them in this presentation. There'll be some stuff that comes up along the way as I explain each of these features, but these are sort of the big things I wanted to call out. So new title screen. I mean, this isn't like a feature that matters to most people, but I think it looks much cooler, so we'll look at that briefly. Army presets, level generation. This one I want to talk a little bit about in depth. Boss fights as well, we'll talk quite a lot about. And then unlockable content, rebindable controls, and we have music. Plus, I'll have a bit of a discussion about what's left between here and the full release of the game. So let's go to the title screen. So here you go. If you were playing the game itself, you would now be hearing music and seeing all the background elements dance to it. Instead, you can see them awkwardly jiggling around with just my voice over them here. But this is the new title screen. We tried to make it a little bit more, I don't want to say thematic, because this is kind of a, it's obviously meant to be thematic towards something, but we've got this theme of it being a tournament where you're playing chess and all these things are watching, so we decided we should design like a stage, make the banners a bit better, just make this screen feel like you're at some kind of event or festival. And that's the feeling of the game, is that you're meant to be at some kind of, almost like you're at a Magic the Gathering festival, is kind of the feeling that I've been thinking of. So that's pretty much it for the title screen. I just think it looks cool, and it's sort of, I don't know, this is the pipeline from the key art to land on this screen. I think it gives a really nice experience now, and sort of, I finally feel like we're hitting some of the aesthetics and, I don't know, the vision I've had in my mind for how the game would feel was starting to come to fruition here. Next up, we have the Army presets. So I don't think I've actually spoken about this feature much before. Maybe not at all. But the idea is that in the game, currently, for the whole time we've been making it, you've had one starting party with the same 4 units, this welcome party here with a merc, well, two mercs, a lancer, and a dog. Now, there's something called Army presets, where when you're in the preparation room, if you've unlocked presets, you can switch between which starting party you're using. So if you get tired of using the default 4 units that you've been playing with so far, you can, there's a little bit at the end of that clip that's not supposed to be there, sorry. you can now switch between these different lineups, and so these get there's quite a lot of these, and it really changes the way you'll approach a run, which 4 units you start with. You unlock these by playing the game. I'll show you more about how unlocking content's going to work in a little bit. But yeah, this the preparation room is now both just to try out units and to switch between starting parties. So this adds a lot to the game for me as someone who's played quite a lot of it. Hopefully it will give a lot of replayability to everyone else too, to just experiment and see how all these different units work. Level generation. Okay, so we've had level generation for a long time. Like, the game is procedural and has been since pretty much the beginning, but at some point during this last like month or two, we just felt like it wasn't good enough. It wasn't enough variety is the main thing, both in terms of the visual appearance of the layout and specifically the way you actually play in each encounter. So I have been thinking for a while about better ways of doing this, and just sort of bit the bullet and threw out the existing level generator completely, and we wrote a new one. So these maps you see here, it's all completely procedural now. Like, it's just made up of each block on the map is generated based off an algorithm, which I will... Actually, this is an interesting thing. If anyone really wants to hear about how this level generation works, I'm happy to do another video on that sometime, digging into the details of it, because I'm quite proud of some of the clever things we thought of here. But all you really need to know for devlog purposes is that it's really different. Every room feels quite different now to each other. You can see some of them are pokey and small, some of them are big and open, and this just changes the way you play quite a lot. Like, a startling amount, to be honest. It felt like a new game to me when I first put this in. So this is probably the thing that I'm personally most excited about, along with the next thing, the bosses that we're about to get to. But yeah, we've laid the I guess foundation for how to do the level generation in the other biomes now as well, and I have some really cool ideas about how that's all going to work. So yeah, like I said, if you would like to hear more about how this works, happy to go into the details. It's a bit technical to dwell on it here, but suffice to say, it's different, and it's much more varied. Like, you can't predict what a given room is going to be like. Before, you'd be able to be like, oh, I've seen this one roughly before, and I have a vague idea of what it's going to spawn in as. Here, they're all different. So it was a big commitment, and I just rewrote it like in 1 or 2 big hack sessions where I kind of went crazy with Ricky, but it works, seemingly, surprisingly well, and it generates levels that seem to be generally solvable, which was the biggest challenge, but I think we got there. In addition to the new levels, we have changed up the boss fights as well. So here's Cormag. The arena looks a little different to how it used to. We've rearranged things quite a bit. The main difference, though, is this new, how should I put this? These shield orbs in the corners here. So Cormag is pink and has 99 defense right now. Oh, by the way, you can see me getting absolutely wrecked here by these gnomes. He has 99 defense because he has the Fey shield on. As you break these orbs, you'll be able to destroy the shield and then eventually defeat Cormag, which I do in this room with a very broken rogue cleric combo, I think, if you keep watching. So I'll just talk a bit about the motivation for this while this combat plays out here. The bosses were working okay before, but what we found was that it sort of just made sense to kill all the units and then focus the boss down. And here, you could still try and do that strategy, but because you need to go to the corners to break the shield orbs before you fight the boss, you're sort of motivated to explore the room in a much deeper sense before actually just going to the boss. And the boss is now very dangerous as a unit if you allow it to become active, because it has 99 defense and enough attack to kill a lot of units. It's actually a significant threat. So this room's turned into a lot more of a problem-solving exercise now, which I like a lot. It's like, this feels a little bit like a chess puzzle almost, where you need to reach certain key locations at certain tempos, or you're going to have a problem. So I think, I see no reason why we would deviate from this for the other bosses now. There'll be something very similar for all the bosses to make sure that you actually have a reason to move around the room and interact with all the units instead of just cheesing the boss. And importantly, this makes the boss a lot harder. Like, the boss has probably been too easy for most of the time that the game's been in development, and now you can lose this one if you come in underprepared pretty easily. And I think the difficulty level is about right. Of course, with a build like the one you see in this video, where I kind of just make this beefy rogue, there are ways to like cheese everything, because that's what this game's sort of about. but you have to be a lot more strategic, especially because these units are sort of all pressed up against you and can attack you immediately in this fight, which is, there's quite a lot of them. It's actually pretty dangerous if you misplay it. And you can see here, like, I'm at risk of losing all of my units here and getting my bard killed, but I was playing recklessly for the devlog. Let's just blame it on that. So yeah, really happy with this. Honestly, I don't think we have any major changes planned for it now, but you never know. We tend to keep iterating no matter what. So if you defeat the boss, as I just did, you'll be able to get to this screen. So this is the victory screen. It's been redesigned with this unlock shop here, and any Vim, I should pause at the start of this to show you. Oops, no, back. Yeah, here we go. So any Vim that you have left after you beat the boss, you can now use that Vim to unlock content in the shop here. Now, I've unlocked a lot of stuff because this is my save file here, so these things are grayed out a little bit. But basically, you come in here and you can click these buttons and you unlock new units, you unlock new parties, and you unlock new traits. You do not unlock new opponents by spending Vim this way. You just unlock new opponents by beating the other opponents. But we've disabled the snake and the final boss until they're actually built, especially because the level generation needs to be reworked for the other biomes now. But there's quite a lot here now to replay the mountains, especially as you come in and unlock each unit in each party and traits. It changes quite a lot. I think we will probably do a few more passes over how this system works precisely, but this is a really nice tie-in, in my opinion, between finishing the run and having this leftover Vim and being like, what am I going to spend this on? And then the motivation normally being to just dump it all in the shop. Well, now, if you want to unlock some new content, you want to save up your Vim and try and be thrifty on your way through the game so that you can unlock more things. So I think that's a cool min-maxing, but open to feedback on that and interested to see how it works as we keep adding more stuff into the game. The pricing scale will probably have to change as we add more content, but we shall see. There's going to be a whole headache there for me because like we have save files now, and some people will have unlocked content like with one pricing scheme and switched to another. It's early access, so expect some things will change, I think is all I can say for sure there. Oh, I played that now, there we go. Next up, Rebindable Controls. So this is like, I mean, it's not like I guess a flashy feature, but this is one we really wanted to get in for this like relaunch of the game. It makes a big difference, I think, to be able to actually rebind the controls and just have that like that flexibility through the game now of the different control schemes and different ways you can interact with it. You can also, like, I haven't tested it enough to be telling people this really, but you can play with a gamepad now. It works pretty well. You probably don't want the isometric camera perspective for a gamepad. You can switch it to orthographic so that the D-pad makes more sense. Like it's actually, I'm trying to hold my hands up to do a rectangle. It'll be aligned on a normal rectangle instead of a 45-degree offset. You can see here, as I rebind the controls, the actual labels in the toolbar. Let me go back a little bit so you can see me do it at first. The labels in the toolbar up here actually change dynamically as I rebind them. So I'm pretty proud of that flashy stuff. It's the little things, right? But it's nice. And if you connect to gamepad, you'll see these should change to gamepad related options. That's still in testing, but yeah, we're getting there for some kind of decent accessibility options now, along with the existing speed and UI scale options. And finally, we have music, which I'm not going to play in this presentation. I think you'll have to just play the game to hear this because it's actually woven quite intricately into how the game works now, just moment to moment. We've got kind of like this, how should I put it, like a scenario system where it blends between different tracks or different layers depending on what's going on. And all of this music is done by Jums, who is a very talented musician, doing some funky jazz, folky, I don't know what you'd call it, some bebop. We've got a bit of everything in there now. So we finally have original music. We've been using not royalty free, we've been using just free music so far, and we've always planned to replace it, but hadn't really had the bandwidth to go down the path of actually getting this organized. So thankfully, Graham has been working with Jums and on our behalf, well, not on our behalf, but like helping buffer the communication between us and Jums to get this stuff done while I've been hacking on the game to get everything ready. And I'm really happy with how it's come together. It sounds awesome. It really suits the tone that I want out of the game at the very least. So that's the major stuff. There is a full changelog in the game as always, and even this is not the full change. There are hundreds of git commits. I just tried to summarize because we kind of just changed a lot. There you see here, too much to mention down the bottom. So yeah, I encourage you to please check it out in the game if you're interested in playing. There's a lot. It's just kind of a new game, to be honest. I don't want to sound like I'm overselling it here, but like we really have reworked just about every aspect of it in this release. So that brings us to what comes next. It's a very white screen now, isn't it? My eyes are burning. So now we have three main focuses. It's actually simpler now than before, I think, because I can sort of see the path to release of version 1.0. We're not actually like super close to it, but I think that the biome we have now for the mountains is representative of the kind of experience we want to deliver for the other biomes. So we're now busily working on those biomes with their level generation and their bosses to make them at the same quality level as the mountains, and that will also involve implementing new enemies and implementing more units for the player as well. So we just want to keep like adding content in as we move towards the finish line instead of doing it all in one big hit. And also we've added a lot of, I should have maybe recorded a clip of this, but oh well, you'll have to play it to see this part. The codex is much more integrated into the game now. You can right click or press I on the keyboard and inspect most things like units, encounters, enemies, icons, and some of the UI, and it just tells you how everything works. So I want to build a little browser for that information so you can review all the codex entries you've been presented in some kind of lists in case you clicked off one by accident or want to revise something. That's probably lower priority than, you know, getting the content in, but I think it will make a big difference as well. So that's what my thoughts are right now. We are planning to keep charging ahead on development. I'm going to be taking a little bit of time off over the holidays, as I'm sure most people in like the world tend to do, or maybe in the Western world, I shouldn't presume. So we are probably going to be charging ahead for all of December working on this stuff. I'm not sure when the next patch will be. I'd love to get one out before the end of the year, but I don't know what will be in it. It's likely that I'll just keep updating the game more incrementally from this point because we're starting to get to the point where it's converging towards the final product. So maybe I'll be pushing smaller patches more often. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'll try and I want to try and keep the momentum up. And yeah, I think that. Well, look, there's no way I'm going to talk about release dates or anything here. But I think that we're making really good progress now, and it feels like things are slotting into place. I'm feeling optimistic about the path forward. Let's put it that way. So, that's a whirlwind tour of everything that's been going on in the past, like, month or two. So, as always, you can subscribe for more devlogs in the future. I would encourage you to buy the game at this point. Like, I've been sort of holding back on saying this because we've been waiting until we have something that I'm like, this is a product that I'm really proud of. And even though the game's not finished, now I feel like we finally hit that level of it being an experience that I actually think is solid to play and isn't going to just like be unbalanced or broken around every corner, and there's plenty of content. So if you've been thinking about picking it up for a while, it is currently 20% off as a little bit of a like, hey, we made a big milestone. Anyone who wants to jump on board now, it's a good time to get it at this price because when it gets to version 1, we'll probably increase the price from what it's been in early access. It's been $10 US this entire time, so it's currently $8 US if it's on sale, and that's I think that lasts until the end of November, the 30th of November, I believe it ends. So I won't tell you what the price point will be on full release because I don't know, but I expect that it will be more than this. That's all I've got to say. So if you'd like to follow along with anything more specific, you can follow the game on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow the studio. Of course, everyone is concerned that Twitter might not exist in next week at this point, but I think it'll be around for a little bit. But if you're worried about that as well, you can subscribe on Substack to our mailing list. And yeah, thank you for listening to this one. I know I might have been like talking super fast throughout it. That does tend to be the only way that I speak anyway, so I guess it's no surprise, but I'm excited about this one. I really am. I hope that if you've been following along with the game, I hope that you are also excited about where it's going. I know that like I'm kind of coming out of nowhere being like, oh, it's called WizardChess now. There's new art. We put music in. We have a publisher. But that's just kind of the nature of when things start to work. They start to work. And yeah, it's been a long journey to this point. So I'm very happy that we're actually we're gonna make it. You know, up until like maybe 6 to 12 months ago, we were really being like, I have no idea how long it's gonna take to get to the end of this. And now, I think Ricky and I can really see what this game wants to be quite clearly, and that feels like a relief, I suppose. But then, of course, the stress of coming up to a full release and getting dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. I'm sure I'll change how I feel pretty quickly when I'm doing all that. But for now, I'm happy. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hope you have a great day. Peace out.